Vice Chair, Chairman of the Task Force for Manpower Training Needs and Neurosurgery, and led the standardization of fellowships. He was on the Washington Committee and chaired it, and the strategic planning facilitator of our nation. A few words about Peggy, his wife. She's John's wife and life partner. She has a nursing background and bachelor's and master's degree, but also MBA from USC, and a fellow of the Pennsylvania Wharton School. She's was an overseer of perioperative services in Cedar Sinai in LA and at Albany Medical College in New York. She's been the Vice President, Chief Operating Officer at Tufts, Chief Operating Officer at Stanford, facilitator of the AANS strategic planning process, pro bono, and she's just a wonderful lady. So through all these years of work, John continues to love the piano, and he's still taking lessons at Juilliard. If anybody attended the year that he was the president, he played during his presidential address. So in summary, Dr. Fox is the neurosurgeon leader. His self-service to the CSNS is immeasurable, and the CSNS would not be where we are today without his efforts. And we thank you, John, for all your contributions. Congratulations on your award.
I want to read the remarks that Dr. Pop sent, although I don't know that I can do them justice. You'll see a lot of who Dr. Pop is reflected in these remarks that you'll soon see. Thank you, Clarence and Josh. Let me begin by apologizing for not being here to receive this honor. Unalterable commitment this weekend in Albany has prevented my attendance. My absence today should in no way be perceived as a lack of my great gratitude for this important award, and my deep appreciation to the awards committee for selecting me to receive the Lyle Librock Lifetime Achievement Award. I am delighted. I am particularly pleased to be introduced by Clarence as chair of the awards committee. Clarence and I worked together when he headed the American College of Surgeons Advisory Council for Neurological Surgery, where he was so highly respected that his introductory presentation today is by itself a great honor. As Clarence mentioned, I consider the CSNS to have been my introduction to the importance of organized neurosurgery and a learning opportunity that left an indelible imprint on my entire career. When I first became a member of the CSNS, I was inspired by my colleagues who demonstrated energetic commitment to our specialty and its socioeconomic mission. After various leadership roles within the CSNS and AANS, I had an opportunity with my wife, Margaret Vosberg, the smart one in the family, to lead the CSNS in its first strategic planning process in 2007, an undertaking I repeated at the end of last year, led by your current chair, Josh Roseman. During the most recent strategic planning initiative, I came to admire Josh for his work ethic, wisdom, and commitment to the success of the CSNS. I intended that. At our meeting in Washington, Josh, aided by other members of the CSNS, AANS, and CNS, performed a deep analysis of the CSNS that I believe will ensure a strong and effective future for the organization, and demonstrated to me that the CSNS remains in very capable hands, both now and in the future. That brings me to my dear friend, Lyle Librock. I knew Lyle well, having spent many hours together in the type of deliberative foxholes that are so prevalent in most medical societies, and where such environments create strong friendships. Lyle was always ready with an introductory comment, usually a humorous or provocative quip that serves as a prelude to his next comment, generally an important insight about the work before us. His amused, lighthearted facade fooled no one, for we all knew Lyle's keen, incisive mind was already focused on a strategy to move us forward. To sum the life and contributions of Lyle Librock in a few short sentences is an impossible task. Suffice it to say that Lyle was an esteemed, beloved member of our specialty who left us too early. It was a loss felt keenly by his family, by the practice of neurosurgery in his home state of Nebraska, by organized neurosurgery in general, and especially by the CSNS, where he left an enduring imprint. I close by again expressing my gratitude and profound thanks to the Lord. Sincerely, John Fox. Now, on the heels of that, with those shoes to fill, I move on to my chair talk. As you can see, escalate and mysteries of prior authorization. Actually, that wasn't. Sorry. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I mostly wanted to use this as an opportunity to thank folks on my way out from the chair position and to talk a little bit about the strategic planning process that we just heard about. As you know, we were formerly known as an organization as the Wailing Wall of Neurosurgery, but we've come a long way from that. And I think that's something for all of us to be proud about, as this organization has evolved and changed over the years. We've developed new committees in the last couple of years, new functions such as the Physician Wellness Initiative and the Handbook of Neurosurgical Physiconomics. We're going way beyond just the Wailing Wall. It really is the science of the practices of neurosurgery here. We're really looking at the science of socioeconomics, all these studies that we do. The last three meetings have seen an incredible increase in our throughput, 22, 18, and 17 resolutions submitted and debated these. Typically at each of the meetings, CNS and AAS meetings, we deliver faculty and content for 4 to 6 practical courses, 2 breakfasts and 1 session, and a dinner symposium, educating our fellow neurosurgeons and our students and our residents on socioeconomic aspects of neurological surgery. We have now multiple peer-reviewed publications. People always want to say, well, what the heck do you all do in CSNS? Look in our journals, and you can see exactly what we do. Papers on resident burnout, matching program analysis, PDMPs, call costs, quality reporting, health system mergers, and the history of this organization. Peer-reviewed things that you can hold up and show in the literature. You can PubMed us now. We're there. But what are the challenges we have to what we do? Well, the time pressures on all of us are inescapable, and unfortunately, both the time pressure on this meeting in general and the time that we have to do the business of the organization outside the meeting continue to be problematic. The issues germane to how we practice continue to change. The shift to hospital employment, health system mergers, federal and state policy changes. You heard Katie and John and Ann talk about a lot of those. The puck moves around. Every time we think we've got it cornered, it's worked away from us and we have to chase it again. You know, the old saying is skating to where the puck is going to be is hard for us, but we continue to push that rock up the hill. How many metaphors can I put in one sentence? Our mission widens, as I said already. We now have a committee specifically devoted for medical directors of service lines to a neurosurgeon, wellness, safety. Our mission seems to expand. The increasing importance of fostering safe society. What's going on at the grant? What's going on at the local level? That's where the issues that become germane to the national society start. Those are the canaries in the coal mine. We continue to need to be fiscally responsible. So our mission expands. The things that we do grow. Yet the money that we have to execute these things continues to shrink. And we have to be more responsible and efficient at how we execute those missions. So as part of that, in conjunction with the AAS and CNS, we undertook a strategic planning process that you heard graciously facilitated by John Todd. So this had its origin back last summer. John was gracious enough to agree to kind of come off the bench and lead this. We recruited participants from 3 organizations to do this. The people that did agree to do this gave of their time and spent hours, some of them, what was it, 5 hours, as one of them quoted, completing the 3 worksheets before in-person meetings, taking a real deep look at who we are, what we do, what we should be doing. Where are we since 2007, both in how we conduct our daily business and how we say we should be conducting our daily business. These were all then collated by John, and in November 2018, we had an in-person strategic planning session with those participants where we hashed this out. Since then, we've integrated those results. I've also discuss those results in person with numerous people from around the spectrum of neurosurgery in the country. We have formed four CSNS teams to look at various aspects of how we do our business, administrative support, structure and committee metrics and deliverables, and the operationalization of our SWOT plan that we developed at that planning meeting. And those committees are in progress right now. Those work groups will complete their mission later this spring. We will formalize an overall strategic plan, including the operationalization of that. We will then run that through the CNS and AANS, get sign off, and then any of the rules and regs changes will then be presented at this meeting in the fall. And hopefully this will lead to a 5-year memorandum of understanding between all three organizations to provide us with a direction and sensibility going forward. I think this will put us on very solid ground to move forward and continue to expand upon what we do. So I first wanted to thank the CSS ET that has worked with me for the last couple of years. As I said in one of the previous meetings, I really had an all-star team that made my job much easier. I couldn't have asked for a better bunch of folks to work with. Anything that they were asked to do, they did. They saw them up here during this meeting. I think it just shows that the organization is going to be better off once I am gone, and they are fulfilling these goals. We couldn't have done any of this without Sandy. Where's Sandy off? Sandy's probably off getting ready for the lunch. Is she here? Sandy? Someone?
No, in the office.
Getting ready for the lunch, probably, doing what Sandy does, which is making sure that all of this stuff runs without a hitch. Anything that happens in this organization, anything that gets coordinated, put together, executed, runs right through Sandy, and everything has a fingerprint on it, and there's no way we could do this without her energy. The resident fellows, though you may be millennials, the 4 classes of fellows that I've had the privilege of directly working with through my 2 years as vice chair and my 2 years as chair, give me hope for the future of our specialty. It is tremendously gratifying to see such an energetic, knowledgeable bunch of young folks who want to do nothing but dive in and learn about things like how the ruck works, instead of just how to take out a stroke instrument. And I think these are the folks that you're going to see up here soon. You're going to see at the Washington Committee. You're going to see in Washington. And I think this goes to how what we do here in this organization is so valuable, because we are providing these folks their entree into organizing their surgery and their entree into organizing their physical leadership. We're providing a conduit for these folks to be standing up here and representing the specialty of neurosurgery in front of other organizations nationwide. I can't leave without thanking the people I've had the privilege of working with in the AANS and CNS. I know Ganesh, Shelley are here, and Shelley certainly I've had a full year with. Ganesh I've had part of the year. They have been supportive of this organization throughout their time. I had Alex as well, and Ash and CNS before that, as well as Kathleen and Regina, who run the AANS and the CNS. Throughout everything going on with this organization, as we continue moving forward, they've always been supportive of what we do and our mission, and have completely and fully encouraged us to make sure that everybody else knows as well how valuable we are. And lastly, everybody sitting in this room, the few folks that are on the EC couldn't do any of this without the hard work, like everybody who sits in the room, everybody that gets on a teleconference, everybody that takes the time to write and draft a resolution, and everybody on a daily basis puts their faith in this organization and what we do. Without the people that go to a state society meeting, that debate CSNS resolution, or even the existence of the CSNS resolution at a state society meeting, that then decides to come and get up at a microphone and give their opinion, this organization wouldn't exist, and we would not be able to do what we do, and the specialty of neurosurgery would be that much deeper for it. So every one of you, I thank you. As I said previously, when I see resolutions come up, I love it. It doesn't matter what they are, but it's people thinking and taking the time to do what they can do to try to improve the specialty of neurosurgery, and that's why we're all here. So as I leave this, I'm going to ask, who's Ganesh? Ganesh is up next. I'm going to have Ganesh come up and give his talk as president of the CNS. So thank you for this great honor and opportunity to stand up here. And I really do everything from here.
Thank you much. Thanks, Josh. I'm going to give a quick update of what's going on at CNS, and I'll start with So we're coming to the end of our strategic plan, a 2-year strategic planning cycle. The priorities of which were increase engagement among active members, create value at all career stages, develop other strategic partnerships, and maintain fiscal responsibility. Our focus has been to deliver relevant and cutting-edge educational content, produce premier journals and online resources, create innovative delivery platforms, foster learning and growth, and train for leadership skills. I'd like to remind everybody of the upcoming annual meeting in San Francisco, the theme of which is the Age of Reason, will occur between October 19th and 23rd this year. What's new this year's meeting is greater emphasis on operative techniques. We're bringing back operative procedures for meetings, controversial debates, reduced pricing for weekend symposia, so as opposed to seasonal practical courses, we'll have symposia all day on specific tracks, international sessions with top leaders, and poster presentation sessions. The deadline for submission of abstracts is May 1st. We've got a couple of weeks to get on it. We've had a whole slew of new live courses for educational purposes. The Transition to Practice course, a new course this August. We continue the CNS Skull-based Fellows course, which occurs with Nick Van Peters. The CNS Annual Meeting, of course, is October. Tumor Complications course in January 2020, and then the Continuing Spine Complications course in February 2020, which has been a very popular and exciting offering in the last few years. We have a lot of on-demand educational courses that are available to all CNS members. SAM general exams, subspecialty modules, indications, and written board modules, which are extremely popular with our residents, obviously. SAM NAMS, which is a combination effort with the Neuromodulation Society, and a variety of wide references. Nexus is continuing to be a very popular offering for us. We have over 250 cases in Nexus that are put together by many people in the room with operative techniques, including positioning, incisions, pearls from experts, and how to avoid complications. Membership continues to grow. We're at over 9,500 members worldwide. Our programs are focused on the latest clinical advancements and development of critical practice management skills. These benefits include education, networking, international meetings, section meetings, clinical guidelines, and advocacy. We also have an international certificate program that provides international members with a certificate of achievement for completion of CNS online education. We have over 100 educational activities achieved for international members. We continue to develop leadership opportunities, and many of the junior faculty in the room have been to our leadership development course. We have resident leadership fellows, resident liaisons, and a variety of CNS committees. Guidelines continues to be an important product from our group. We have guidelines topics covering the majority of spine, neurosurgical topics, including spine, peripheral nerve, humor, trauma, peace, stereotypic, functional, and general surgery. Everybody should have this on their phone. The guidelines app is free. You can access your practice guidelines anytime you want. It's gratifying to hear from Katie and Ann that guidelines have been a pivotal part of how they push back on payers and drop coverage from certain procedures, and so this has been important for us. We also have the Survival Guide app. This is really created by volunteers to help our trainees with a variety of positioning, procedural pearls, and also coding going into. We have two, I think, robust journals. Both are leading the way with respect to impact factor and content. Operative neurosurgery, which used to be a quarterly, is now actually a monthly offering. Neurosurgery continues to do well with respect to publications, and then many of the guidelines that we produce are in our journal. The Surgeon's Armamentarium is the brainchild of our editor-in-chief, Nelson Masiku. The digital platform, you can access it from desktop and mobile devices, and it's free for subscribers.
The CNS Foundation is our philanthropic arm. This is a very specific focus. We offer the NIDS CNS Getch Scholar K-12 Award. This is the only NIH sort of partner grant in the neurosurgical space that specifically funds a new graduate in residency for 2 years with a way to get their foot in the NIH door. So something that we are ever behind. We used to offer it every other year. We're now offering it every year and capitalize our foundation with our own endowment up to $4 million. We also developed guidelines for the foundation and our leadership and healthcare fund. So thank you. I am now reluctant on Twitter, so you can see me there. I'm terrified of Twitter, so you can tell me guys about it. I just want to say a couple words about the leadership of CSNS. It's been a real pleasure working with Josh over the last 6 months, being involved in the future planning process with John Cost. Josh has been a great partner, and I think our relationship between CNS and CSNS has only gotten stronger. Mike Simon is taking over, which just goes to show that leadership, you don't always get it right. But, no, I'm kidding. I've known Mike for 22 years. We both studied at New Mexico at the end of the 20th century. And if you had told me then that Mike would be chair of PD clinic and heading of CSNS and leadership in spine and CNS, I would not have been surprised. Mike is the smartest guy in my neurosurgery, and it's really taking place. So thank you.
Now we'll hear from Shelley Timmons, almost done president of AANS and our close organization.
I'm going to highlight some of the aspects of our meeting, but I feel like we'll take just a moment to make some personal comments. For the young people in the audience, students and residents, one of the reasons I stand before you here today as president of the AANS is because I first got involved in interventional surgery at my state society in Tennessee as a resident. And one of the people who is responsible for that, in fact, the person who is responsible for that is in our audience, and that's Clarence Godfrey. And for those of you who don't know Clarence as well as I do, he is a master surgeon, and a superb clinical decision maker, excellent teacher. And he's always had an eye for what is happening in the socioeconomics of medicine in general, and neurosurgery in particular. And he's just had visionary leadership in not only the CSNS, but the AANS and so many other organizations. And been a true mentor to me, and I'm so proud now to call you my friend, and thank you so much for everything that you've done, Clarence. So I want to just talk about a little bit about our meeting. I'm not going to talk about much else because we're here in San Diego, and I want to provide some opportunities for you guys to have some learning experiences. But I do want to thank the executive committee. These guys have been tremendous to work with this year. Great friends and colleagues and hardworking people. And I want to thank each one of them individually. This is our board of directors from last fall, where we all get together and try to accomplish some things in very nice environments, which usually ends up being very productive. Our values of integrity, leadership, excellence, and professionalism all come together for us to try to promote the highest quality of care and really put our patients at the center of the specialty of neurological surgery. So our meeting today is populated by several excellent lecturers. Howard Eisenberg is going to give the OSL lecture. Many of you know that Howard has been a mentor to many students over the years, and Young Neurosurgeon Research Forum is sponsoring him. We then have a CSNS generated speaker, Wayne Sotiel, who works with Gary Simmons closely, and many of you will remember that he came and spoke to our luncheon here a few years ago, and he'll be talking about resilience and the thriving neurosurgeon in our opening ceremonies, followed by Zubin Zamanian, who many of you might know as D-Dog MD, who has a very strong online presence and has a great commentary about where we are with the state of medicine today. Our Eisenhart lecturer is Maria Konakovic, who's a clinical psychologist who studies observational skills, and she'll be our Eisenhart lecturer Monday morning, followed by Bob Harbaugh talking about the science of practice. Many of you know that Bob's had a long history with MBA and registry efforts, and that is the theme of the meeting. Jamie Henderson from Stanford will be talking about the brain-machine interface, and Bob Dempsey will talk about using the tools of the day over the years to study important questions that are generated from clinical practice. Great talk. Steve Haynes is our bandwagon lecturer, also talking about how practice can inform research. And David Ferrucci is a computer scientist who programmed Watson when Watson beat human beings on Jeopardy, and so he's going to talk about AI and AI applications in healthcare and some of his personal experiences with decision making with his family members and how that impacts what he does today. And then finally, Jim Young Kim is our Cushing orator. Jim Young Kim was one of the founding partners of Partners in Health with Paul Farmer, who many of you will recognize. And he's recently the president of the World Bank. He's now gone back to Partners in Health. But he's going to talk about global medical care for people in low and middle income countries and teaching people how to provide care in environments that are challenging. We do have some social events, and I do want to acknowledge a couple people. Alex Palesi is our local meeting host, but Flo and Randy Smith right here in the front row really did help us a lot with some of the local advice about venues to choose and where to go for some of the things you will see and some of the things that you don't see. But on the midway, there are going to be opportunities if you have your kids with you to climb in and out of the aircraft and do flight simulators and so forth tomorrow afternoon. We have a zoo event that the PAC has kindly offered to sponsor for young neurosurgeons. This is a thank you back to the young neurosurgeons who've done so much work for us, and students and residents. And it's open to anyone, though. You can buy a ticket for a very low fee, and if you donate to the PAC for the first time, you can stand in line to get some free tickets to that event. And then we have our international reception on Monday night. We have several awards. David Sandberg, the Humanitarian Award, Rocco Cervide, the International Lifetime Achievement Award. I guess it doesn't in there twice. Kevin Foley, the Cushing Award for Technical Excellence for his contributions to spinal instrumentation. Ross Bullock is receiving the Distinguished Service Award, which is attributed to neurosurgeons who have contributed to the field of neurosurgery. And Ross is a consummate surgeon scientist and has really been an educator around the world throughout his lifetime as well. And then finally, our Cushing medalist, Jim Rutka, who just is the quadruple threat on every level for neurosurgery and excellent character, is our Cushing medalist. We are announcing the implementation of the AANS Volunteer Corps. We worked with the Young Neurosurgeons Group to come up with a means that young people who are not on the Young Neurosurgeons Committee but want to be involved with the AANS can volunteer for projects and jobs and so forth, and that is rolling out this meeting. And then finally, it's the 75th anniversary of the JNS, so we're celebrating that as well. I just want to touch on NREF for 1 second and highlight how much money has gone out into grants. We've now given over $20 million for education and research programs. And we are celebrating Harvey Cushing's 150th birthday, which is, I think, Tuesday. This is a picture of Louise Eisenhart at his 75th birthday. And I want to highlight our NeuroPoint Alliance, which is our data collection center and registry and project efforts on outcomes. You're all familiar with the Quality Outcomes database for primarily spine, but also we have a tumor registry underway. And for those of you who don't know, QAD is leading, has led this space in quite a few respects, not the least of which is that it was the first surgical database that actually had patient-reported outcomes incorporated, so we're proud of that. The Neurovascular Quality Improvement QAD project is underway at this point in time. This is a collaborative agreement between NPA and the Society of Neurointerventional Surgery, and they're working with the FDA to gain status as a designated registry for mechanical thrombectomy devices and other post-marketing surveillance tools, and that's very exciting and a critical aspect of what NPA does. We also have our SRS registry that is ongoing and recently grown. And finally, you're all familiar with the PAC, and I know we probably will hear from the other members of the PAC at various points in the meeting, but I just want to highlight that they do have a booth here as well. Please visit us, take advantage of all of the aspects of our meeting. And I just want to say also, I told Maya the other day when I was sitting in the audience that I'm proud to wear my red badge. I'm a delegate to the CSNS, not only the WNS president, and I've been at 30 meetings running since Joe Chang and I started in 2004, 2005. And all of you are my friends and my colleagues, and I really appreciate your support all through the years. So thank you for being you and doing what you do. Josh, it's been a great pleasure. Appreciate it.
get to do this one final time. And then I get to give it to Mike. I'm proud to end my term and pass this over to Mike. Lunch will